Hi friends, welcome back to Faith and Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee and today we're going to talk about milk kefir, specifically milk kefir chocolate milk. Because milk kefir chocolate milk is just about the only way I can consume milk kefir right now. I really want it, it's got really excellent health benefits, but milk kefir, I don't like yogurt, I don't really like any kind of like soured milk product, not my favorite. And so milk kefir chocolate milk is really the only way I can get myself to consume it right now. So that is what I'm going to show you guys how to do. First, let's talk about the milk kefir grains. So I put a little bit of the milk kefir in Tom's smoothie, and when I drink the chocolate milk, I drink about this much. This is just like a small little, it was actually a tasting glass that we got when we went on a wine tour. And so I don't need that much. So I don't constantly make new milk kefir like some people do. So these are my milk kefir grains that I've been storing in the fridge. That's how you store them in between uses, kind of like sourdough. And so I took my leftover grains, I poured some fresh milk over them, and they store in the fridge for 3 weeks. These have been in the fridge for about 2 weeks, so it's definitely time for me to go ahead and get a new batch going. So what you want to do, I have a clean glass jar. It's wide mouth. I definitely think wide mouth makes it easier to work with. I've got my strainer here, and I'm just going to pour these into my strainer and then kind of push them around with a spoon. I'm just trying to get the excess milk out of here. We don't need any of the old milk. Now here's the thing about milk grains. You don't need that much. So for every 2 to 4 cups of milk that you are going to use, you only need 1 tablespoon worth of grains. So what I usually end up doing, I kind of ignore that and I use a little bit more. Here I've got probably about half a cup. So I'm just going to do 1 tablespoon into my new container and a 2nd tablespoon for good measure. The rest of this, you can give it to the chickens, you can put it back in the fridge. I don't need it. And honestly, although it feels wasteful, they multiply so fast, it's insane. So I don't measure the milk. This concise container that I've been using has been working really well for me. So I've got my raw cow's milk. I'm just going to shake it up to distribute that cream. And I'm just going to pour that right on top of my grains. And I usually fill this up about halfway. I would say that's I don't know, 3 cups, not quite 4, more than 2, somewhere in that realm. If you have excess milk, this is a great way to use it up. And then I just use a paper towel. You can use a coffee filter, a piece of cheesecloth. There's all sorts of different things. And I have a rubber band that I put around it, just like this. And this is honestly just to keep like dust and debris out of it. But you want it to be able to breathe. And that's it. And I store this on top of my fridge. And then this time tomorrow, this will be ready for us to use in our chocolate milk. So we will come back to this tomorrow. I'm going to put it on top of my fridge. Now let's talk about the chocolate sauce that I like to use for my chocolate milk, because I do not use a powder. I actually make a chocolate sauce that I use in my chocolate milk. All right, so here I have a small saucepan, and to that I'm going to add 3/4 a cup of sugar. I usually use brown sugar, but I am all out of brown sugar and I don't feel like making any tonight. So I found this coconut sugar that was kicking around in the back of my pantry, so I'm gonna use that. But you can use whatever sugar you want. Now this is one of those situations, we are making a chocolate sauce here. So this is not rocket science. You can use whatever variation of these ingredients you want. In fact, I encourage you to. Have fun with it. Experiment with it, see what works for you, what you like, what you don't like. This is a great recipe for that kind of thing. Next, we're gonna add half a cup of water. I have used milk before, and you can, and obviously that's going to give you like a thicker chocolate, especially if you use like a whole milk with cream. However, it may not keep as long, and this makes quite a bit of chocolate sauce. I don't go through it very quickly, but if you're making this for like your family, and you've got kids and stuff, and you're gonna fly through it, use milk instead of water. Or even use coconut milk. I love that kind of thing. Like I said, substituting out, swapping out different versions of the same ingredient to get different results. Water obviously is going to give you a thinner chocolate sauce than if you were to use one of the alternatives. In fact, I wish I hadn't poured that in there because I have some coconut milk in the fridge that I need to use up. Dang it, I should have done that. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of a really good quality salt. We're gonna take this over to the stove and we're gonna bring this to a boil, stirring constantly to make sure that you're dissolving that sugar and nothing's burning.
While you've got your chocolate sauce boiling on the stove, you're going to add in half a cup of cocoa powder, and then you're going to stir that in really well.
Next, you are going to add roughly 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. It doesn't have to be chocolate chips, it just happens to be that I have chocolate chips. So it really all depends on what you're looking for here, because you've already got sugar in this recipe, so you don't need to use a sweetened chocolate. You could absolutely use like an unsweetened baker's chocolate, especially if you're somebody who doesn't like things very sweet. It just so happens that I have chocolate chips. I don't have any other kind of chocolate in the house right now. And so I'm going to use what I have. These chocolate chips are not unsweetened. And so this is going to be a very sweet chocolate sauce. However, I'm using it in chocolate milk. So I'm not going to be using a whole lot of it. And I'm using it to make milk kefir chocolate milk. And milk kefir is notoriously sour, right? And so I am okay with a little extra sweetness to my chocolate sauce. But I just wanted to mention that to you because absolutely use an unsweetened chocolate if that's what you prefer. If all you have is chocolate chips, that's okay too. Now you're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, or just however much your heart tells you, just for a little depth of flavor. This is my first time making this with the coconut sugar. I've never used coconut sugar before, and I'm really excited to see what we got here. Now be careful if you're gonna taste yours because it's very hot, fresh off the stove. Oh, that is so good. That is a really good chocolate sauce. Guys, tomorrow I'm so excited for you to see how seamlessly this blends right into the milk when you're making chocolate milk. There's no weirdness, no chalkiness, no clumpiness. It just seamlessly blends into the milk when you're making chocolate milk. It's so good. So we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow because my milk kefir grains need to sit for 24 hours. So tomorrow night, evening, it's 5 o'clock right now, so roughly tomorrow evening, we will have ourselves a glass of milk kefir chocolate milk. Oh, also for this, I store it in a 1/2 pint mason jar with a lid in the fridge. And actually, I still have a little bit of my last batch left. Obviously, I wanted to make a new batch with you for the video. But we'll use the new one tomorrow when we make milk. But the old one's been in the fridge for a month, maybe a little more than a month, and it's still as delicious as the day I made it because there's nothing in this that's gonna go bad. It's all just already shelf-stable stuff mixed together. So it keeps for a really long time. And again, if you're going to use like milk instead of the water, then perhaps that would, you know, put an expiration date on it. But this lasts a really long time. And there are no artificial chemicals or preservatives in this, because if you were to go buy like the Nestle chocolate milk like sauce at the store, it's full of stuff. And this is so simple. So you can definitely use this to make your own chocolate milk at home, and it's so good. Hi again. So it has been two and a half days since I put this on top of the fridge. You can do it in as little as 24 hours. I didn't forget. I've just been really busy, and so I haven't gotten to this. So we're just gonna go ahead and do it now, and it's fine. It's still good. The only thing is, it's just gonna be really strong. Kefir's got like that kind of like sour taste, and this is gonna have a super sour taste. And you can see how it has started to separate. That's the cream on top, and it's like a hard layer of cream. And you can see the curds down on the bottom, the kefir curds. So it's fine, it's not a big deal. It's just that, you know, I probably should have done this sooner, but it's okay. So I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I have limited equipment. This is what I'm able to do right now. So I just put one of my like fine mesh strainer over a bowl, and then I just kind of pour it in. And then I move it around with a spoon and let it drip into the bowl. Yeah, this is like Look how curdy this is. This is like this because I left it out for so long. It's still good. It's just strong. Very mature. So it'll take me a few minutes to stand here and kind of move this around and get it straining. Now, the reason I said that there's a better way, there must be a better way, is because this does not strain it very well. It ends up, my final Kefir product ends up being super chunky because this strainer still lets a lot through. And so it's not like a super smooth Kefir product, at least it hasn't been. This is probably the 5th time I'm doing this. I haven't had my Kefir grains that long. And so it doesn't end up being like the smoothest product. But honestly, for the way I use it, that's fine. It hasn't bothered me. So perhaps using cheesecloth, I imagine, would give you a better strain and a smoother final product. I have cheesecloth. I haven't done that because honestly, and maybe I should get over this, I don't like using cheesecloth. I'm not comfortable reusing cheesecloth, like washing it and using it again. And I don't like wasting it. I don't like using it unless I like really have to use it. So I deal with the final product being a little not as smooth because I don't want to waste the cheesecloth, which I guess is not a good thing. Maybe I shouldn't look at it like that, but this is how I've been doing it. And it's been working out. So the reason you don't want to let it sit for too long is because the Kefir has had ample time to multiply and to, I don't know the right way to say this, like feast on the milk and multiply and grow. So a lot of this has turned into Kefir grains, and that's what happens when you let it sit for as long as I have. It gave the grains ample time to take over the milk, the fresh milk that we added, and so a lot of our final product is now Kefir grain. I could split this up and give a tablespoon of this to 50 different people, and they could have their own Kefir grains. That's what this is. And not as much of my final product would be Kefir grain and would be smoother if I had done it in 24 hours like I was supposed to and not let it sit. So that's the downside to doing what I did, letting it sit that long, is that you just lose some of the final product and it becomes a grain. That could be a good thing if you have a bunch of people who have asked you for some and you're wanting to share. And I already have some in the fridge. I'll probably add another spoonful to that container just because I can. And then the rest of this, I don't know, what would you guys do with it? I'm not experienced enough to know. I just throw it away. I'm not sure what to do with it. I don't need this many Kefir grains. So I just let that drip in here for a few minutes. I'm working on a couple of different things. So then I scoop out all of the grains out of the strainer and put them back into the original container. And now if I were to do another batch back to back, I already have my grains in here. I can just pour more milk on top. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna do that. So then I wash my strainer, and I always keep my Kefir in this blender bottle because it's clear and I can see how much Kefir I have. I've always kept it in there, all 5 times I've done this. And then what I like to do is strain it just one more time. This always makes a mess because the opening to this is so small. But I just do the best I can here. And then this one I'm a little bit more picky. So once it starts to not strain anymore because it's getting clogged up, I just pour whatever's standing back into the bowl, and then I rinse this again. I'm gonna do it again. And the second strain's not necessary, but I like, because I'm not really doing this super properly, I like to try and give it the best shot to being a good consistency as I can, considering my equipment. So I just give it one more strain, and then I just kind of wipe it off, keep it clean. One little tip for you, and this is a tip for kefir, yogurt, raw milk, what have you. Something that I like to do to keep it clean and fresh, I always wipe the rim. I don't let any milk product, dairy product, gunk up on the rim, the lid part of anything, because it turns sour and then it sours everything else faster. So I like to keep things clean and clear of any debris. And then I've got my lid here. And then I always just look at how much I have and decide if I want to make more. I think this will be enough for right now. Okay, folks, now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Milk kefir chocolate milk. The reason I make milk kefir chocolate milk is because I don't like milk kefir. I don't like Greek yogurt, regular yogurt, milk kefir. I like sour cream. I'm not into that kind of thing. I don't really love the flavor, but I want the health benefits, right? And so I do milk kefir chocolate milk because it helps me consume at least a little bit of that, what is it, like a fermented dairy product. I'm into that, but I don't love it, and I don't want a lot of it. So this is my way of getting it in my diet. So this is our chocolate sauce. Oh, it's glorious. So good. Oh my gosh. So I just put a little bit in there, and then I'm gonna put, usually I end up putting like 2 tablespoons, maybe a little more, of milk kefir. Just like regular chocolate sauce that you buy from the store. And then I finish it off with some regular raw milk, because I tried drinking it just like this for the longest time, and I was doing it, but I wasn't enjoying it. So then I thought, well, maybe if I put some regular milk in there. This is another example of that. I take a bit of paper towel and I just run it around the rim here to get off that excess milk that's like hanging out there, because it sours so much faster. And then I rinse the lid. And I do that every time I open my jar, which I know is a little overkill, but I don't go through it super fast. Like, I'll have a jar open in the fridge for like 4 days, and it just makes it sour so much faster. So that's what I do. All right. Give that one more little mix. It is 1:23, and that's about right. I usually have a glass of this every afternoon, and it's so good. You know what, though? That's not cold. I keep this in the fridge. I like my milk to be really, really cold. Now, here's the downside. My milk kefir is not smooth. I think it's because of the way I strain it. It's just not a super smooth product, and that carries through into the chocolate milk. It's a little, I don't want to use the word chunky because the word chunky is so gross, but it kind of is a little. And if yours ends up being that way, you just got to power through. It's safe. There's nothing wrong. It's completely acceptable to drink. More so, it's so good for you to drink. And that's just what I tell myself. The flavor's there because of the chocolate sauce, so I'm usually able to get through it pretty well. So I'm coming to you, I'm not coming to you and saying, oh my gosh, this recipe is amazing. It's so good. You guys have to make this. This is more me saying, if you're like me and you're not crazy about milk kefir, but you want the health benefits, here's how I choke it down. Or if anything, the chocolate sauce recipe, that's a solid chocolate sauce recipe. So there's that, at least. I'm gifting you that. But this is my way of trying to give you like a way to consume it if you're trying to consume it and you're having a hard time, because that's where I'm at. I bought the kefir grains, which I'll link who I bought them from down in the description. I got them off Etsy. And I know how to make the kefir. I've been doing it successfully. I've been storing it properly, all that good stuff. But drinking it is not the easiest. I put it in Tom's smoothies. I don't think he even knows. It blends and is hidden in the smoothies super well, so he's getting the nutrients from it. I've not been doing the smoothies recently, so the chocolate milk is how I do it. All right, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in my next one. Have faith and keep moving forward. Bye, friends.